Prepare yourself for invasion. This is Indie Invasion.
What's up, invaders?
What's up, guys?
Welcome to Thursday Night Shorts. It's good to be here. Sorry we missed last week. Mr. Eric was feeling under the weather, that cold weather up there. It was 70 here today, by the way.
Yeah, we're in a heat wave now. We hit 62 today.
Ooh, man, y'all better start putting on some sunscreen and headed to the beach. Kind
of weird that it's getting that warm.
What's up, Ron? Welcome, sir. Welcome. I got to tell you, Ron, when we were driving back from Chicago, I was tempted to stop and see you, but I had so many more hours left to drive. I was like, yeah, no, I can't. Just had to keep going. So anyways, welcome. We got four folks on. If you're jumping on, say hello wherever you're watching. I know I should have. It is what it is, I guess, So we're so one big thing news-wise is we are working on Coastal Con. It's not definitive because the big restriction is a place, it's just money, man. Money.
It's always money.
It's always money. So one of my buddies here, Seth, is working on talking to the high school here. So I'm hoping to be able to, and so obviously it wouldn't be in February because, well, it'd have to be next weekend, which would no longer be February. It'd have to be this weekend. So we're looking at sometime in the summer, but just throw that in your wheelhouse and noodle on it. Hopefully we can make something happen. And if not, then we don't. But we're going to do our best. Got a couple folks working on things to maybe make stuff happen.
Yeah,
well,
if you guys don't follow along on Facebook, join the Coastal Con Facebook group. Or even Discord. Follow the Discord link below, and
most everything Coastal Con wise, I'll throw up in Indie Invasion anyway. That's where that's really going to be the primary communication. I will share it in the group, but I've had so many Facebook issues over the past year of having to recreate stuff that I'm no longer admins of my own pages. So
and I can't figure, and we've tried to figure it out other than starting over.
Yeah. So whatever, it's no big deal. It's just Bookface. I don't really care. So what's happening, Alan? And look, it's Spaz. What's up, Spaz? The Spazster. So, what you been working on there?
Well, I have it in the background. I started getting this stuff out and prepping the models. I want to paint them. I've always talked about painting the Zombicide miniatures, and I think this is a good set to start with because it's zombies, right? Superheroes. Yeah. And I just didn't want to willy-nilly it. So I figured let's start with just the core, the main part of the game. And then if I get these done, I'm still motivated. Then I'll go to the expansions and all the stretch goals and stuff like that. So I'm starting to get those ready and prepped for next week, which should be a paint on the desk night.
Yeah, and I've my fingers crossed. It's highly unlikely, but I put an order in at Demented Games. So hopefully I'll have what I ordered for Twisted, because one of the guys in the Twisted group took the Bobbies, the little cop robots, and painted them up like firemen. I was like, oh, that's such a cool idea. So I ordered some so I can do firemen. And then this evening, I've been working on my little steampunk fire truck.
Cool. Okay.
Got my little steampunk fire truck, got my hose there hanging off the side. And so Engine 13, of course. I mean, it has to be in Twisted, right? It's got to be that in Twisted. Otherwise it doesn't make any sense. But so that'd be cool if I had those. But other than that, I've been just kind of plugging away at my BattleTech stuff and Working on a little bit more Twisted. I mean, I have everything, but I've got a couple models. I'm working on some more hounds.
Okay.
And then I'm doing some basing. I've got this really cool guy that he's actually a 3D print. It's for Age of Sigmar, but it's a 3D print, so it's not like an official whatever Age of Sigmar model. A buddy of mine gave it to me, 3D printed it, and so he'll make like a cool main villain to fight in Twisted. So do something like that. But anyway, so that's what I've been working on.
Okay.
Not a whole lot. Got some BattleTech in.
I was going to ask you BattleTech because I will admit I was at a store the other day, and I went there because Sander was there playing Magic. He was in a Commander tournament, and he wanted to use one of my old decks I had.
Yeah.
So I brought it there, and I started looking at stuff. And I'm like, BattleTech, there's 3 box sets. Which one do you get? So I was looking at it, but what's the base one that you start with that? I actually don't know. I can't remember.
Well, I would go with the Game of Armored Combat because that comes with a bunch of mechs. And look who's here, Alder. Good morning, sir.
What's up, Alder?
And yes, the resurgence in Twisted. Definitely paint some more, man. Definitely paint some more. I started working on a little bit myself too, Alder, because the traction. I posted a story just a little while ago that I wrote a while back, just because the interest has been renewed and trying to just jump on that. But Alan says buy all 3 boxes. So it depends on what you want to play. So if you want to play.
Wasn't there like a starter one, a very basic starter one?
Well, there's a beginner box, but it only comes with a couple mechs. And then you just have to buy something else to get more mechs. So I think the best deal is a Game of Armored Combat. That's if you want to play the crunchy BattleTech. If you want to play Alpha Strike, which is the more modernized skirmish style, the Alpha Strike box is a good deal too because you get a lot of mechs in the box. So those 2 boxes are the way to go. The Clan Invasion box is cool too if you like clanners. So all the boxes are pretty good. I just wouldn't buy the beginner box because it's got like I think 2
not
mechs.
enough.
It's
got 2 basic.
Yeah, it's too basic for a seasoned gamer such as yourself. I'm with you on that one, Ron. It's clanner scum. No clanner scum around here, buddy boy. Inner Sphere, House Steiner, not the Federated Commonwealth, just House Steiner. Anyway, so the ramble goes. I'm excited for those that do follow Twisted, and if you don't, Peter has alluded to some news coming soon. So I think that for you, Alder, I don't know if you saw that. I'm pretty sure that that's what's gotten everyone's wheels turning a little bit more. Because it's hard to maintain the interest when there's like I'm usually the guy that posts the most in Twisted, but I have no models left to post.
Yeah,
I've painted everything. You know what I'm saying? I got nothing left to paint. There are no models that I don't have. So it's not like I'm going, I'm working on this Twisted thing, but I'm working on this Twisted thing.
Yeah, that's about where you are with the game, right? Is making stuff that's for terrain purposes or scenario purposes. Yeah, that's about it.
So what are we talking about today, sir? Sorry.
So tonight, let's jump into it. We were kind of noodling a little bit of what to talk about, and I brought up, you know what? We have not talked about RPGs in a while. And I had this thought long time ago, and I wanted to talk about what our favorite, I guess, your favorite races and classes and stuff were. But before we get to that, I thought it would be good to talk about, well, what style of RPG do you like? Do you like the fantasy sci-fi?
I got to say something. The last time we talked about RPGs was a few years ago.
We got in some trouble, didn't we?
Well, I'm not sure if it was the D&D books or the White Wolf books, which one we got in trouble about the most.
I mean, I took it easy. I got 3 of the books that I got in trouble for right here.
And I got the other 15 or 20 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the collector bug in me got me where I got this one that I used to have as a kid. I think this actually is my original one. It's the only one I still had from the 80s. And then this little lovely one that getting harder and harder to find. So
oh yeah, oh you can find it. You just got to have the Benjamins if you want to.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about RPGs. There's so much stuff out there that there's just
how do you pick one?
Into it. Yeah, how do you pick one and your favorites and stuff? So what do you got? I've got a stack here. We're gonna get a little nostalgic on some of these. I'm not going all the way back to Redbox, but
I tried to grab a little bit of variety, and I think some of what this comes from is that I got an email this week from the guys that are doing Mothership. So it's getting ready to ship.
Yeah.
So I should be getting another RPG system. Now that one's sci-fi, and I'm curious to see how that plays against the actual Alien RPG that's out there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what spurred this a bit, I think.
Do you have the Alien one RPG?
I don't, but I've read through. I think I got an a PDF of it. Is what I did because I wanted to read what the system was like, and it's interesting. They have kind of a neat.
That's my blind dog walking around. He stepped in his tumble.
They have a neat balance where when you're rolling for checks, you're rolling a fear dice too. So it slowly adds like that tension to the game, which is kind of neat.
Right.
So I want to compare those two when I get that.
Right. Sweet.
So, but anyway, yeah, that's kind of what lit this bug under my butt. But I don't think I have any sci-fi.
Well, I have some sci-fi. We're gonna go sci-fi.
Okay, let's go sci-fi.
I got some sci-fi
because it really comes down to what is your flavor. What kind of world do you want to, tell a story in?
Okay, so let's go sci-fi here. So this one is this is my first sci-fi game that I played, which is Rifts. So I picked up the Ultimate Edition because I don't have I've got a paperback copy over there that I picked up later, but I didn't have my copy anymore.
Yeah, that's a nice copy.
Yeah, this is a really, really nice copy. But I had not played Rifts. I mean, we wore that game out when I was active duty. This was until we discovered White Wolf. We wore that game out, and it was easy for us because we played Palladium Fantasy. So fundamentally, same rules, same principles, same skill sets, same everything. So when we started playing it, it was just,
what specifically about the system is it that you like about Palladium? Because you always talk about that system.
So I think the thing that I liked about Palladium was, and now this didn't necessarily translate into Rifts, but in first edition Palladium, as horribly as the book was laid out, and as difficult as it was to navigate through the book, the thing that I liked about it that I always hated about D&D, early D&D, is when you were first level, it's like you could kill an elephant with a hand axe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if I give you a hand axe, I dare you to go try and kill an elephant. I just dare you. And Palladium, this was like the point that really made me go, man, I kind of like that, is animals were dangerous.
Okay.
So if I give you a battle axe right now and I tell you to go kill a timber wolf, you would essentially be a first level barbarian, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to win. I'm sorry. I love you, Eric, but we're going to be short in Eric, and I'm going to need a new co-host because that timber wolf is going to tear you a new one, and we're just going to have a bloody battle axe and no more Eric. So, but that was what I liked about it. I also liked the broad skill sets. I liked the percentage rolls, but I was a tried and true D&D guy too. So what I ended up doing was, every cool fantasy game that I loved, I just incorporated it into Palladium, and it was easy to do that in Palladium. How do you apply? We got to get that timber wolf to kill him.
Man, I'm not even cold yet.
Okay, so you said you don't have any sci-fi, so let me knock out. Here's one I haven't tried yet, but I want to. Is Rogue Trader.
Okay,
and I love the 40K universe. We've said a million times we're not GW haters. We just don't really play very many of their games, but I really want to try that. I'm not real fond of the way the rules are written and laid out, and then I know Ron's going to appreciate this one. So this is super old school. I love to play.
Man, look at that old school book too. That's
Robotech.
Cool.
This was, and I've got Invasion, Sentinels. I don't think I have the Zentradi book, but I've got Southern Cross. I've got all the stuff. And we played some serious Robotech too. So those were my Rifts and Robotech. And again, Robotech was done in the Palladium rule set.
Okay.
So it was easy. Okay, I don't have my book, but Spaz, I agree. I loved the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay system.
Didn't they just re-release that or kind of tweak something about it?
Maybe. I've considered picking the book back up again. It had some great adventures too.
Okay.
Oh man, it had some great, really, really great adventure books. But I always loved the stuff about D&D because like it had such a deep pool of monsters, right? Yeah. Such a deep pool of magic. And I saw Ron up here said this. The funny thing about Rollmaster, Ron, is I still have my Arms Law over here on the shelf that I use the charts for crits because I love the crits are hilarious and I love them. So I'm just with my fantasy stuff. It's just a hodgepodge of stuff, and that's what I like.
Which is the nice thing about RPG is that you can kind of take bits and pieces and make it your own, as long because RPG is basically it's your storytelling, right? So you can kind of make different systems fit to how you want the storytelling to go. That's the nice thing. It's very fluid in that sense.
So I know we jumped there from sci-fi. We'll go back to that, but I know we jumped for a second. But so I'm going to show you some of the fantasy stuff. So we got my first edition Palladium role playing. This is the most horribly laid out book in the existence of role playing books, but it is my favorite book. But it is so terribly laid out; it's not funny. Okay, and then we got here we go. The monsters from this game. I know some of you guys got to know this one. Talislanta. Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Hey, it's Todd. What's happening,
What's up, Todd?
And then I'm going to save those two for last because those are unique. Now, this one is you just got to know this one, man. This is Dragon Lords. This is Michael Moorcock's Elric.
Okay.
The world of Elric. So incorporate that, has some great monsters and stuff like that. And then we have these last two we've got Thieves World. Some of you guys may have read those, the books, Thieves World. And then Eric, you got to know this one. You have to know this one.
Man, you're going from the there we go. Okay.
From the comics, Elf Quest.
Now that is one I remember, and I haven't seen that in a long time. I grouped that one with like the Turtles RPG too. You know, it's kind of that almost, it has that nostalgia. It's one of the first times I remember something from the comic world or, you know, that other, I guess you call it geek world, and they transferred it into, you know, the gaming world.
Elf Quest. Loved it. And the funny, I incorporated Elf Quest into my fantasy games way before they came out with the RPG.
Okay.
I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know it existed until maybe 5 years ago. And I picked it up much later because I didn't know it existed, but I had already incorporated it.
Okay. Well, I got a little bit of a pile here I want to show you guys. I tried to pick some very different ones too than your standard D&D and, you know, the ones that you usually see. But this is something that it's actually going back to sci-fi. You guys may be able to find this. It's by Fantasy Flight. These, I mean, that's how thin the book is. And there's different sections in here depending on what you want to play. Now, they did this series of as End of the World. So this is the zombie one. And you can do, like, I think there's 4 different types of zombie apocalypse that you can do in here. You know, it could be bio, it could be space oriented, you know, all those classic tropes. But the thing about this, what I like is that you're playing what you know. So your character you create is kind of a reflection of you, and you play in your area if you want.
It's a really short game.
So it could be a very short game. And the character creation, I think they got like maybe 5 stats in here, so it's real quick to roll up something and go. They have this one. They have I think it's like alien invasion. They have machines taking over, and then I think they have something that's like the gods coming back. So it's like Cthulhu. They got like Aztec and stuff like that. So they're all kind of themed books.
There you go.
I think this was $20. Real cheap RPG type of game that you can check out.
There's the plug. Do what Ron says. Post some pics in Discord of your favorite old RPGs or new ones if you have a new one that that you really like. I remember that zombie one, Eric, because you and I had talked about it because I picked up the All Flesh Must Be Eaten.
Yes, that's RPG. Another great system.
I still haven't had a chance to try that one yet, but I love conceptually what I loved about that was the whole premise was your character's probably going to die in the session tonight, so don't get attached to it, which I thought was it was a neat spin. It was kind of like how Violent Dark was a real different take on what was going to happen with your models. The same premise, really. So
kind of along the same lines of your characters are going to die. It's just a matter of how quick. Something fairly new that I got into last year, Morkborg.
Morkborg, yeah, I remember that.
Very cheap book, but man, it's like low fantasy. There's not really fantasy creatures in here like D&D, but man, this is dark. This is Swedish heavy metal is what this is. And I mean, it's basically, it takes place in the apocalypse is already happening. It's just a matter of how bad is it going to get? You know, your character is just trying to just finish off his last days. Very, very quick to jump in and play. The rules are simple.
Yeah.
Your guys only have like maybe less than 10 health. So you could get one shot killed in it. But if that happens, you just roll up another character and keep going.
Right.
Very cool game to check out. There's a lot of supplements you can get for this game. I think I did do a little feature of this with my buddy Chris that you guys can go back last year because we played this at Adepticon.
I remember that.
I made a character basically because they have charts in here. You just roll them up. My character was he was a priest that was kicked out of his order because he was starting a new cult that actually worshipped the apocalypse. So his rapture was the actual end of the world. So he was like, okay, when's it going to happen? When's it going to finish? Type of thing. So,
okay.
And yeah, he was secretly basically helping people to the apocalypse. So, like we had points where we were grilling somebody for information. And when the rest of the party would kind of walk off, he'd kind of like sneak over to the side and help the guy along. So very interesting, very dark series. Okay, now we're going to the Wild West. Awesome world. I love the Deadlands world.
This is like that system, right?
Yeah, this is their older system. Their newer system uses the Savage Lands system. And I did get the newest box set. This is just like a reprint of the original.
Right.
Really cool. If you guys like Weird West, this is it right here. I mean, they have werewolves and, vampires and witchcraft and all that kind of stuff, but just thrown in to the Wild West.
Right.
Very different, kind of cool system. I check it out if you guys haven't checked it out. If anything, it's got an interesting world for sure.
Well, I think we would be remiss if, given the last time we did something like this, what we really talked about was White Wolf.
That's what I just went to go get.
Right.
So here's two of our favorites right here.
Yep, and we talked about this pretty extensively because we both went trying to replace some of our books that we had lost over the years and whatnot.
Yeah,
and we both kind of came to the conclusion that what we liked about that system was the world of darkness, how there were these different game systems that you could play independently. You could play Changeling, you could play mage, the Ascension. You could play werewolf. You could play vampire. You could do all of that individually, or you could just play World of Darkness, and you could just bring it all together and just have this mishmash of a horror movie. And I think that it could easily get out of control. You could just have a whole world filled with werewolves and vampires, and that's not really fun, because where's all the subterfuge and the obfuscation of the vampires and all that kind of stuff? But done well, it was really a great system. I felt like it played fast. It was easy since it was all D10 based.
Still D10 based too. The newer versions.
I see. I haven't looked at the newer version.
I checked out the newer ones. It's essentially the same system. They've cleaned it up, polished it. But it's not as gothic, I guess I'd say. I mean, this came out in the 90s. Everything in the 90s was very gothic.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah, it was great. It was great. Yes, the OG was diceless, and I played it, and I hated it. It was horrible. It was horrible. I did not like it at all. But when second edition came out and we started playing it, I don't even remember where we transitioned to it. I think it was probably we were playing Vampire Kingdoms and Rifts. Went to the game store, saw a vampire game, and went, "Hey, we should check that out too."
Yeah. And speaking of vampires, here's one I got into that's it uses 5e rules system. This is by Kobold Press, and this was a big campaign book they had come out, Empire of the Ghouls. So it basically, you can, they have very different classes in here, which is one of the things I like. I'm usually kind of the fighter barbarians and stuff. That's one of my favorites. But in here, you can make a vampire. You can make a zombie, and that's your character. And you're,
zombie. Why would you want to be a zombie?
They got turned undead, and they're like, okay, what do I do now?
You eat brains, and you stand up against the wall until you hear a noise.
So they're basically, I think they're trying to hold on to the last little bit of humanity that they have. And I think I've read their little character thing. I think you're doing rolls once in a while to see how much of your intelligence that you can retain and resist the urge to just start eating people. So very, very different classes of characters in their system here. So check out Kobold Press's world. It's a little bit different than D&D if you want something that's a little bit different world. They have an interesting world where it's I think they actually built into the whole mythos that the world's flat. There is no round world. It's flat. Well, so you could go off the edge and
I use some stuff from Kobold Press and Pathfinder in my fantasy games when I run them. It's just it's a whole gamut. I'm like, people are like, well, can I run this? I'm like, sure. I don't even care what book it comes out of. We'll figure out how to make it a character. Yeah. But what else you got left? I have one more game left.
More that I want to show off. That's just kind of another. I've been kind of showing off a lot of these alternatives to, the mainstream ones. Now, this one does use 5e rule system. So if you guys are used to that, but it is a fantasy role-playing setting set in Neverland. Now, I got this off of Amazon, guys, for really cheap. And it actually runs through basically the Peter Pan story where it has the pirates. It has, like, if you like dungeon crawlers, the dungeon crawler in here is you're in the crocodile trying to get out. It's just it's very different in here. And I mean, the book itself I got because I thought it was very, I like the art. It's simplistic.
Yeah.
So it lends to the theme. And going along with this, I think Mary got a Wizard of Oz one that's very similar to this, where you can create characters in that world and you're just playing in the world.
You should probably check out War of Oz because you might be able to get Mary to play War of Oz.
Yeah. I mean, we've been meaning to dive into her Wizard of Oz one because, I want to be a flying monkey and she wants to be a monkey.
You already are. What's the problem? I have flying monkey miniatures. I built them in for Twisted.
They're all set.
Yeah. So the last one I have is, and I have first and second edition, but I prefer second edition. And I'm trying to get a group started. So ding is Mech Warrior.
Wow, there's another oldie. Okay.
Yeah, well, no, I mean this is the oldie. This
That's
is
the
the
oldie,
first
okay.
edition Mech Warrior. This is FASA 80s. So I think this is 86.
What's the other one then? I don't even remember seeing that one.
This one's the second edition. This one came out after.
Okay.
But the thing I love about this is you make a character. They're very simplistic, right? And it's only a few stats, only a few skills, not a whole lot going on. It's very story driven for the game master.
Okay.
But it's Mech Warrior, so it's all about battle mechs. Well, you resolve your battle mech conflicts on the tabletop, and your stats for piloting and gunnery directly port over to the tabletop game.
Oh, that's cool. That's
So
a neat concept.
Yeah, there's no difference in that. And I've considered that before because I love Twisted. I think Twisted would make a great RPG. But I think if you do that with a skirmish game and they don't connect,
Yeah.
at least for me, that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? I should be able to, like, if I'm able to create a character in the Twisted universe for a role-playing game, and I find a great miniature for him and I paint him up, I should be able to put him in the game. Now, will he potentially be broken? Well, of course, that could potentially happen. But right at that point, you're playing with your buddies in a role-playing group anyway. So by the time it comes to the table, that's just going to be part of the story, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like with Mech Warrior. Alan, stop trying to make me jealous about you. He says he's got a group running Mech Warrior. Well, I do too, but it's just me right now. So there, how do you like that?
Let's see what kind of comments we got here. Ron's talking about best game he played, World of Darkness. We played a group of hunters and had to solve a bunch of mysterious deaths. Yeah, and I know they have supplements where you get to play that side of that world.
Oh, yeah. Hunters Hunted was the name of the second edition book where you had the hunters.
And I think they did a new edition, like right now in the newest edition.
We played one of our best games that we played, Ron, was we used the Kinfolk book. So we were running Kinfolk instead of the actual werewolves. Which was kind of cool. But yeah, the Hunters Hunted book was great. And I loved how the thing I loved about that system was how it kept the monsters. They were just head and shoulders above you, man. You had to use every resource and everything because they would just tear you apart in an instant. It was like in a movie. The vampire shows up, and if you're not the hero, you're dead.
Yeah. That's a good one too. If it's the one I'm thinking of, West End Games Chill was late 80s game. I think I still have a copy of that somewhere. I was surprised I didn't find it and bring it up. But I like, if that's the one I think it is, I like it because it's like your Victorian age. You think of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, in that world, being a monster hunter, Van Helsing, hunting the monsters.
Right.
What else we got here? Blue Planet is a cool setting underwater. Very different set of challenges.
See, now that's cool to me because
different.
Well, I love Deep Wars, and the thing that I loved about that game was that it was different because the skirmish game underwater, just who does that? Nobody does that.
Yeah.
And the thing about that game, just like with Mech Warrior that I threw up there, uses Song of Blade and Heroes rule set. Well, the Song of Blade and Heroes rule set is also their role-playing rule set. So, it's the same thing. Nothing changes. So lost 4 of 6 players in the World of Darkness game. Ooh. Yeah, of course you did. You were the hunters.
Yeah.
Reminds me of to get prepped to play our World of Darkness, we would watch the movie Vampires with James Woods.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was the best vampire movie. I loved that movie because it was the hunters. Anyway, then he pretty much lost 4 of his 6 in his game.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he lost everybody actually because homeboy at the end got bit, so it was just him. But anyway, there's RPGs. Let's do like Ron said. Throw up a pic of whatever your favorite RPG game is of your book.
There's so many out there, and I mean,
or just what you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, even if you go to like online, to download different systems, because there's a lot of independent systems out there, that you can find online. So there's so much out there, and like you said, I like taking bits and pieces and just you can kind of make up your own game. I mean, I'm still hunting for that one perfect system to do Thundar the Barbarian.
Well, didn't you? Well, that just reminded me because we're done, and so I have to bring something else up. Is Cynthia's books?
Yeah,
Cynthia Miller she has a bunch of books like that where it's basically a Saturday morning cartoon, Thundar the Barbarian, sort of thing. So there's just so much stuff out there. Gamma World, Star Frontiers. I just saw somebody posted a picture on Facebook of somebody redrew the artwork from the Star Frontiers box set, the cover, and just kind of like they didn't really redraw it; they just recolored it and really livened up the colors so that it really popped. It looked awesome. Yeah, all that stuff, man. There's just so much stuff out there.
Post them in the Discord. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to see some kind of something different.
Top Secret. Play Top Secret. That's old school right there. Used to play a gangster one too. I don't remember what the name of it was.
I think TSR did something like that.
It was a TSR game, but I can't remember what the name of it was.
Gangland or something.
Maybe. But you were 19. You were Prohibition era gangster.
We're gonna probably be on eBay.
Oh yeah,
you get off here.
You weren't gangstas. You were gangsters. 3-piece pinstripe suit hanging out at the speakeasies, Prohibition, and all that stuff. So there was some fun stuff. But anyway, I don't have any clue whose turn it is to take us out. So is it who are you pointing at? Oh, now you're pointing at me. Okay, I got you. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. This was fun to talk about some RPGs and to see some old books pop up and to see some old stuff that we've all probably seen in the past. Don't forget to smash all the buttons, like, subscribe, follow, click, all those good things, and join us every Thursday for the fastest 30 minutes-ish in wargaming and our shorts live stream every Thursday night. Yep. Also, you can check us out on all the podcast platforms where we have some audio stories and a whole bunch of other episodes from way back in the day before we had our good microphones. So maybe difficult to listen to, but you can if you want. Also, Facebook, YouTube. Order. That's right. Man, I sure do love this game. Discord, especially. Don't forget, drop those pictures of your favorite game or whatever you're playing in the Discord channel so we can check them out, and then I'll go on eBay and try to find a copy of them. Also, don't forget to check us out on Redbubble, where we have all kinds of cool stuff on there. And if you're not in the Twisted group yet, I'm gonna plug here. If you're not in the Twisted group yet, go over and join it, because I don't know when, but on the horizon there is some kind of news coming. I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's coming because Peter said some was coming. So go over there and check that out. But until then, my friends, don't forget to prepare yourself for the invasion.